Hey, what's up, guys? It's Online Money 24/7, and today we're going to be talking about how much money do you need to retire early. So this is something that a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, investors want to know how to do is how could you retire early, attain that financial freedom earlier in life than a lot of people are like, oh, I'll just get to it in my 60s, 70s. How do you do it a little bit earlier in life? That's what we're going to get into today. So the first thing to understand is you're going to need to save, learn how to save, and get that cash stack built up. So as you can see here, just a giant pile of money for entertainment purposes. But look, you need a large stack saved. And more importantly, that needs to be in investments, because if you're holding it in the bank, it's not going to be earning you any interest whatsoever. It's fine if you have your money going into the bank first, but you want to be pulling that out of the bank and putting it into investments as soon as possible, because that money's not going to make you anything with banks. Banks barely pay any kind of interest. Even in a savings account, it's 0.01% or 0.05%. It's awful interest rates. So you want to pull that money out of there, put it into investments, which we'll get more in depth on what types of investments you could get involved with in a later slide. But that's the first thing, is you need a large cash stack saved and in investments. Secondly, you're effectively saving to buy financial freedom. So a lot of people are like, well, why are you doing this? Why are you saving all this money? Stuff like that. Well, you're essentially saving for something very expensive, which is financial freedom, the ability to not necessarily need to work for all of your money. Instead, you can make money from your money with investments. So, but you need a lot of it to actually make anything really from them. So that's ultimately what you're doing here, is saving to buy financial freedom. And to where you get to the point to where you don't need to work for money. Instead, you're creating money from your money. So we'll get more in depth in that in the next slide, but that's essentially what we're doing here. This is more of an overview, is that you need to have a big cash stack saved, and you're buying financial freedom in order to not have to work for your money. So next, investment options. These are the different types of options that you have with investments. Now, obviously, there are a lot of different types of things you could do, but these are two of the more popular ones that are tried and true for many, many years. So number one is stocks. I talk about stocks a lot on this channel as well, different stocks that you could be buying or whatnot. I talk a lot about stock market investing because that's what I'm personally into. So that's what I talk about on the channel. Another option you have is potentially real estate investing. I'm not into real estate yet. I do plan to be in the future, but that is another investment option that you have. Both tried and true things. And you're essentially investing in companies for annual growth, return, and dividends if you're in stock market investing. And with real estate, you invest in real estate for that rental income. So you get a tenant in there, you're a landlord, and you collect rental payments from them month to month and throughout the year. So that is essentially how you're earning money from the stock market, is the growth of the stocks, the companies. That's why I have a company list here, Netflix, PayPal, Sony, EA, eBay, Google, all these different companies there that you could invest into, NVIDIA. And so, you invest in companies, and then from the growth rates that they get per year, or from their dividends that you collect as well, that's how you make your money. In comparison to real estate, is you make your money with rental income, all passively, mostly passively. There's minimal work to have to really manage these things. So that is where you're putting your money, what your investment options are. And ultimately, you're looking for about a 7 to 12% annual return with these investments. So you don't need anything crazy. You just need something baseline that can get you consistent annual returns. In some years, it might be 20%. Other years, it might be 5% or 4%. That's why when you're saving, you put the extra back in, because knowing that the next year might not be as good of a return on your investment. And this varies more so with the stock market, but it's same with the housing market as well. Sometimes the home value might be going up a lot, and then the housing market crashes, home value goes down. It just depends. So ultimately, you're looking for around a 7 to 12%. Some years might be better than others. So it's good to account for that as well, and not get too caught up in like, oh, I made a bunch of money this year, woo, and then like spend it on something stupid. You're looking for a consistent return so that, you're able to retire early, because you have that lump sum there making you money, and you just want to keep the principal. You don't want to be messing around with that. You just want to keep that nice annual return. So those are your investment options. And these are just two of the more popular ones, tried and true for years. There are other investing options you could get into, but these are the most popular ones that many, many, many people have done for years upon years upon years. Stock market and real estate, two of the biggest ones. So next is living expenses. This is something you really have to get down to a T. This is more of the math-based aspect of retiring early, because it matters a lot more if you're trying to retire at a younger age, what your living expenses are. And really, it matters at every age, but if you look at your living expenses and calculate it, you may be able to retire earlier than you think if you can figure out a way to live cheaper and not have as much of a burn rate per year. So obviously we're looking here, you know, your transportation, your groceries, if you have kids, something like that to consider as well, entertainment, your utilities, insurance, all these kind of things that are costing you money per day, per week, per month, per year. These are all of your living expenses. So what I recommend to do is create a list and write down or create an Excel sheet with your full monthly and yearly expenses. If you're trying to really figure it out and be like, okay, can I live off of X amount of money? If you're really trying to calculate it out, create a budget, this is how you see and calculate your living expenses to see, well, what am I burning every year? How much money do I need to be able to live off of and effectively really retire early? And so for the example in today's video, I'm going to be talking mostly within the range of living with $20,000 per year. This comes out to, I think, around $1,300 to, I think it was more $1,600 a month, about $1,600 a month. So if you're able to do that with low rent and just buying food, maybe if you're single, it'd be easier, obviously. If you have to feed more people or you're in a relationship, stuff like that, obviously you may need more money per year. But this is just an example. $20,000 per year is a pretty baseline amount that a lot of people could live off of. Maybe they're in just a small home. Like, there's a lot of ways you could do it. And ultimately, if you own a house, car, phones, all these things can reduce your monthly outflows so that you don't have to spend as much money per month. You know, there's a lot of different living expenses, especially with things that you can own in comparison to like insurance and utilities. Like, you're always going to have your utilities, your water, stuff like that. You're always going to be spending money on. Same for like a level of entertainment that you spend money on, your insurance, groceries, you're always buying food. So there are certain things that you can't really eliminate, but if you can own your house or your car or things like that, that could cut down on the monthly payments that you have to make out and could drastically reduce your total living expenses that you need to save up to be able to earn, which I'll get more into the math on the next slide, but this is something that you have to figure out person to person, what's going out of your bank account every month and what's going out every year, because that ultimately decides how much you actually need to be able to live off of. So next, what's the number? What is the retirement number that you need? Now, obviously, you know, we're trying to live on the beach here with a laptop, the ultimate lifestyle, right? It varies widely and depends on the person's lifestyle. Like I said, if you're single, it's going to be a lot easier. If you're in a relationship, you might need more money. Lots of different factors. If you have kids, all these kind of things can drive into what your number is. But in today's example, I'm going to run through a few different numbers that could potentially work for you. Just an example. So obviously you need to crunch your own numbers if you're trying to actually figure this out for yourself. Examples. So if you had $500,000 saved, that's a lot of money. This is the most money example. The other examples, you need less money saved. If you have $500,000, put away. And that's going to take quite a while, depending on how much your income is per year, but that's a whole nother story on getting your income up. Obviously, if you have that much saved and you just utilize 0.04, so that's 4%. That if you're making 12% annually, that doesn't even touch the principal whatsoever. So, if you just take out 4% and you're still growing your investments with your other money that you have left over after that, you can get $20,000 per year, like it's showing here. $500,000 times that 4% range is $20,000 per year that you could live off of with just that amount of money. Now, if you want to live off less, you could also have $250,000 saved, and then 4% would be $10,000 per year. And then your other $10,000 could come from a side business. And $10,000 a year is not a lot from a side business. That's quite a small number if you're really calculating it out. I mean, that's less than $1,000 a month that you're making from this side business. And if you're doing well enough, it should be making significantly over $1,000 a month at least. I mean, but this is something that would just be a side hobby, something for fun, because at this point you're trying to retire. You're not trying to you're not trying to work a small job just to make money and make ends meet. You're trying to do something that you enjoy just to keep yourself busy. And that's what this side business is here, to fulfill the other money that you need per year. Because ultimately, you're cutting your principal that you have to save in half just by making $10,000 extra a year. And that's very easy to obtain. So if you have saved $250,000, you only need to make an extra $10,000 a year from your side business. That can be easily obtained. And that cuts it from $500,000 to $250,000. Huge difference. And then next, the cheapest one is if you have $0 saved, you could just make $20,000 from a side business. So if you have some side business, say for example, a YouTube channel or, real estate marketing, like there's a lot of different things you could be doing. Say you write books, things that you're passionate about that you enjoy, you could make well over $20,000 a year. And it's like retirement because you're doing something that you enjoy anyway. You're not trying to do something that you don't enjoy. So if you have a side business that makes you this money, there you go. Now, obviously, I would probably want to make more than 20,000 because if you're just burning what you're making, it's a very risky area because if something happens, then you don't have any money saved. So I would definitely recommend putting aside money as well. If you're making over that $20,000 a year, but you can effectively, quote unquote, retire at that point because you're doing what you enjoy every day, living that lifestyle in the picture. So that is the numbers here that I'm using for the examples. Now, if you guys do want to get involved with stock market investing, I do personally recommend Robinhood as the app for you. It has free stock trading, no commissions on trades. And so that's what I personally use because I do stock market investing. That's what I talk about here on the channel. If you're not familiar with that, but if you want to support the channel and sign up with Robinhood, you go ahead and click that link below in the description. If you have not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well so you get notified for future videos, uploads, and all that good stuff. Leave a like, comment down below if you have any questions, comments, concerns. But anyway, guys, that's all for today's video. So I will see you in the next one. Peace out.